right of abortion, and the beneficiaries are fetuses. And if you believe in a right to life, and you believe that a fetus at a certain time in the pregnancy deserves constitutional protection, then this is a victory for rights. But surely it shouldn't be applied to birth control. Nobody has the right to be conceived, and it certainly shouldn't apply to gay marriage, because there are no victims of gay marriage. It's nobody's business if a gay man marries another man. It's nobody's business if a black man marries a white woman. And yet all of those rights adhere from a right of privacy growing out of the Fourth Amendment, the Ninth Amendment, and the 10th Amendment. And that has been undercut. And so there's legitimate concern, even though the Supreme Court said it's limiting its decision to abortion, that some lower courts might expand it and apply to other fundamental basic rights of privacy, which Brandeis talked about as the most fundamental right of all, the right to be left alone by government to make your own decisions. Abortion is a hard case because it involves, these other cases are not hard cases. It's nobody's business who marries whom.
So I think we've known, obviously, since that leaked draft, Professor Dershowitz, that this day was coming, and it would most likely go like this. So there's no surprise here, obviously, as you mentioned, concerned about violence. I want to get your reaction to some of the reaction coming in. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, here's what she said a short time ago about the Supreme Court's decision, which will overturn Roe v. Wade.
It's such a contradiction. Yesterday, the states cannot make laws governing the constitutional right to bear arms. And today, they're saying the exact reverse, that the states can overturn a constitutional right for 50 years, a constitutional right for a woman having the right to choose. The hypocrisy is raging, but the harm is endless.
What do you make of that comment?
Well, it's an interesting one. There is something of an inconsistency of attitudes, giving the states so much power to regulate abortion and so little power to regulate guns. The opponents of that point of view say, look, guns are in the Constitution, abortion is not in the Constitution. But remember, the Second Amendment isn't so clear about the right to bear arms. It says basically the need for a well-regulated militia. And when the founding fathers wrote the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, militias were controlled by the states, and they well regulated the militias. They decided if young people could join the militias and have guns, if people with mental illness, if people with criminal records. And I think the states should continue to have more power than the Supreme Court gave them to regulate guns. After all, the issue is different in rural New Mexico than it is in the subways of New York. And the state should have
but I think the politicization outside the court is a lot greater than it is inside the court.
Look, I agree with you. When you get idiots like Keith Olbermann commenting, saying that we ought to abolish the Supreme Court. That's what Stalin tried to do with his courts. Right. Radicals on the hard left who are prepared to take extremist positions, even to packing the court is an extremist position. Because if you pack the court today and add 3 or 4 justices, then when the Republicans take control, they'll add 3 or 4 justices, and suddenly the Supreme Court will have to sit in Yankee Stadium in order to decide cases. There'll be so many justices. That's not the right approach. Abolishing the Supreme Court approach. Let's talk about legislation that perhaps gives women the rights, and perhaps maybe a decision that says that a state can't prevent a woman
Well,
traveling.
I think we'll have to agree to disagree right there, because as long as that's a state doing that, I think people would agree with you who watch this show. But if you're talking about federalizing it in any way, then I think we're getting to a much deeper debate we don't have time for right now, Professor Dershowitz.
I want to try both. I want states to do more, and I want the federal government to do more to protect the rights of women who want abortions and can't get it in their states. I think we can do both, and the political process will prevail. That's what I think is going to happen. I also think the Democrats are going to benefit in the midterm elections by this decision. I think a lot more on the fence will vote Democrat in order to give their children, their nieces, and their grandchildren the right to terminate a pregnancy in 2 weeks or 3 weeks or 4 weeks, which 65% of Americans.
And a lot of people say that's the great thing about this about federalism, is it puts the hands back in the voters. They can do more if they want to, if they vote that way. Great to see you. Professor Dershowitz, always great to talk to you. Thanks so much.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
All right, also more reaction here. This one from Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene. She was just right outside the Supreme Court when the ruling came down. She said her prayers were answered. Take a listen.
The leftists told us what they want to do. They said they're going to be waging an insurrection at the Supreme Court, threatened to burn it down. That's what the intelligence briefings are saying. And Ruth sent us, and James Revenge is talking about firebombing pregnancy centers and churches.
Right there.
So the left is showing who they are again.
Again, the concern about violence there coming from Marjorie Taylor Greene. We haven't seen that yet, but of course we're watching out. We do see some previous instances of violence. We're going to talk more about that coming up. But again, the breaking news from the Supreme Court today, Bianca, they have overturned Roe v. Wade, also pushed back the Casey versus Planned Parenthood decision, upholding that Mississippi 15-week abortion ban law in place. We just showed some video there. Republican Party offices, I guess, have been vandalized. That's what I believe we saw there before. Pro-life healthcare centers have also been vandalized. We'll talk more about that again with Abby Johnson, a pro-life activist, and Chad Wolf, former director of Homeland Security, coming up.
We'll watch the crowds, and also we're expected to hear from the president at 12:30. Stay with us. Much more ahead on this historic day.
Real heroes.
Real conflict.
Real threats.
Real heart.
Now there's a place America gets its news.
Newsmax. We're real news for real people.
Millions are turning off the old channels
and switching to Newsmax, the fastest growing cable news channel in America.
No agenda,
no spin,
just the facts.
Millions watch us, so can you.
Newsmax. We're real news for real people.
Working out doesn't have to be this complicated. That's why I make walking my workout with Skechers' new Workout Walker. They're loaded with performance and comfort technology to add more spring to your step. Just put them on and walk. Try Skechers' new Workout Walker.
The Fed is printing money like crazy. Debt is rising by the trillions. Is there a way to profit from this madness? What do these experts say?
The more money you print, the less your dollars are worth, and that's why you want to own gold in your portfolio.
Even Bank of America says $3,000 gold is entirely possible.
Silver still has the biggest run coming up.
Gold will outperform stocks, and silver will outperform gold.
Experts agree. Massive money printing and rising debt could send gold and silver prices much higher. How high? Find out. Call for the experts' money printing report and gold and silver decision guide. See just how high gold and silver prices could go.
I think gold and silver will win big.
The report and guide are free. Also ask how you can get $15,000 in bonus gold or silver. Call Lear Capital now at 800-885-1955. 800-885-1955. 800-885-1955.
Feeling good. You know me. I'm all about my business. No apologies. I run a life fitness. Can't believe in this moment. I'm free.
Tommy John. This is what confidence feels like. Go to TommyJohn.com.
Plain aspirin could be hurting your stomach. Vazalore 325 liquid-filled aspirin capsule is clinically shown in a 7-day study to cause fewer ulcers than immediate-release aspirin. Vazalore, the first liquid-filled aspirin capsules. Amazing.
Germs invade through your nose, the body's air filter. But how do you clean it? Navage uses powered suction to help flush out congestion, allergens, mucus, and viruses. Millions use drug-free Navage to breathe better and feel healthier. Navage. Clean nose, healthy life.
For tires, I only trust Goodyear. So I wear Skechers with Goodyear rubber for incredible traction, durability, and stability. If Goodyear rubber can handle what this piece throws at it, just imagine how well it'll perform on your feet. Try Skechers with Goodyear.
You're looking live outside the Supreme Court. The breaking news today, of course, the ruling that came down this morning, striking down Roe v. Wade. As you see, there are many people gathered. The fence is still erected, and the hope is that this will remain peaceful. However, there have been many threats being made that when this ruling came down, there would be a night of rage.
All right, now let's check in with Mike Carter. He's live outside St. Patrick's Cathedral, where they're setting up just in case violence comes to that Catholic church. Mike, what do you got for us?
Hey, good to be with you guys. Well, right now outside of St. Patrick's Cathedral, obviously a lot of anticipation, especially from the NYPD, a lot of law enforcement agencies across the country on high alert right now. Take a look behind me right now. The NYPD, several vehicles, a gaggle of police lined up in front. They've actually erected barriers outside of the church. St. Patrick's, obviously a worldwide destination for those of the Catholic faith. And folks here very much remember the riots, the George Floyd riots of 2020, and that happened up and down Fifth Avenue where we are right now. We're right across the street from Rockefeller Center, and all of the high-end stores here on Fifth Avenue, a lot of them were vandalized during those George Floyd riots. Right now, not too many. We're not seeing any of them boarded up right now, but St. Patrick's is preparing for what could happen later on this evening. And what is expected by law enforcement? Well, pro-abortion groups like Jane's Revenge and Ruth Sent Us have been organizing for weeks ahead of this SCOTUS ruling today.